So we have big update coming in as far as probe into the Delhi car blast case is concerned. DNA tests have confirmed that Dr. Umar Nabi was the bomber behind the Red Fort car explosion on Monday. Samples collected from the blast site matched those taken from his relatives. Umar had been on the run after his name surfaced in the Faridabad explosive seizure case. Police found a severed arm near the white I-20 car, which has now been identified as his. So we have CNN News 18's Anvit Srivastava joining us live right now. Anvit, what is the specific evidence that links Umar to both vehicles found in Delhi and Faridabad?
The initial suspicion was that it was Umar who had been driving this vehicle around Delhi, and police had then taken DNA samples of his mother to match with the driver's remains that were found in the car. And what we're being told by sources that DNA samples have matched, and it has scientifically, however, been confirmed now that it was Umar who was driving the vehicle. Police had this suspicion from the very beginning because after the Faridabad module was busted and Faridabad police had made public this information that Umar was the one who was missing from the module, searches for him were underway, and later on, just hours after that, when the explosion took place, CCTV footages were checked, and it was found that it was Umar who had been driving around that vehicle soon after he escaped, learning that his module mates have been arrested. Since then, it was a suspicion, and multiple CCTV footages also had confirmed that Umar had been driving that vehicle around Delhi, and he had eventually reached around 3:19 p.m. He reached the Red Fort, and he sat there in the parking in the car for roughly around 3 hours. And when he stepped out of that parking, the car exploded, that detonated at the traffic signal of right in front of Red Fort. So it was confirmed almost that it is him because his remains and his some of his belongings were also found at the spot. But to corroborate it scientifically, the police and the agencies needed some evidence, and therefore DNA samples of his parents were taken, and then they were matched with the remains from the car, because you see, the intensity of blast was such that nothing was left. No bodily remains were left. So, but the car, in fact, in which he was badly injured, and only the twisted metal and exploded vehicles were there. So, whatever remains could be found from that car and could be collected as samples, they had to be matched. DNA was extracted from them, and then now it has been matched. And what we are learning is that DNA samples are probably matched. And now this is a big development, because this is a scientific evidence, and it will also help agencies in the court of law in proving that it was Umar Nabi who was driving that vehicle, the doctor who had escaped the Faridabad module, learning that his module mates have been arrested.
Right. Anvit, you mentioned about the DNA sample and also the timeline, like at 3:15 p.m. you mentioned. But do investigators have evidence that this person, Dr. Umar Nabi, was being assisted by anyone else in planning or executing the blast?
See, those who have been arrested in this case, they have been questioned, and they have taken certain names, and that is how even the Faridabad police and JK police, when they executed this operation, they also learned that Umar Nabi is the one who has escaped, and there are also reports that they were in touch till very recent, and Umar Nabi had also conveyed it to his team that he will be going ahead and he will be executing something big. So that certainly is there, and he was in touch, and they were all planning to execute. In fact, the kind of amount of ammonium nitrate, roughly around 3 tons of it, that was recovered from after busting the Faridabad module. So that also clearly suggests that the kind of material they had been hoarding for months and weeks, it clearly suggests that something sinister was under planning. And therefore, with this, shortly after that this blast takes place. So these things together, piece together a bigger planning that was underway, and that is how the police also, JK police and Faridabad police also reached out to this Faridabad module, and because shortly after it was this terror incident takes place. So all the dots connect, and therefore Umar cannot be not connected with this module because he has been constantly in touch with them. There are other angles like the Al Falah University. Everyone has been associated to that directly or indirectly. Then there's Kashmir connection also. So these were people who had been in touch for years together, and now they had moved to Al Falah in Faridabad, and there they had been running this module, and eventually they have all executed this act of terror in Delhi. So therefore, Umar was since the beginning in epicenter of this entire investigation, and now when it has been confirmed that it was Umar who was driving the vehicle, now certainly investigation takes a step ahead.
Right. Anvid, thank you so much for sharing that very important input with us and for putting things into perspective.